Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's literally one of the first events I've been where, the event is actually ahead of time, so kudos to the organizers. I want to talk about technology and health. That's the theme that I'm here to talk about today. And I want to sort of position this as a session wherein we ask a few questions, we try and answer some of them together. I'll try and dispel a few myths that I know about this industry, and having worked in the consumer sector for more than a decade and a half, and also share a few truths that I have learned along the way, which involve a bit of knee scraping and, all the mistakes that we have made. So my name is Isaac. I'm the co-founder of Ivory. It's an early stage startup that helps detect early cognitive decline. I would assume that most of you in this room are above 40. Science says that beyond the age of 35, your brain starts shrinking by 5% every decade. Decline is inevitable, but if you're on an accelerated path of decline, Ivory helps you detect that. We can go to the next, oh sorry, I can use this, I guess. Which one? Okay. Okay. How to go back? Okay, so let's begin with one question which I have for the room. We've all just come through a pandemic. We're all now more preventive and probably taking more checks about our health. But one question I have for everyone, take a wild guess. Will the level of sickness and illness in the world going forward, will it stay the same? Will it be worse? Or will it get better? Will we get better? Anyone? There is a right answer, but I'm hoping to just hear a few. Yes? It'll get worse. So somebody says it'll get worse. Any optimists in the room? It'll get better. Someone says it'll get better. Yes, yes, sir. It'll get better. Well, that's the thing about us as humans, right? We believe in optimism. We believe there are more people in this room we think that we'll get better. But science and data says that it'll get worse. It'll get worse because urbanization is on a rampant spree. People are getting more and more congested. There is more and more human and animal contact. And more and more people are also traveling than ever before. So the level of transmission, risk, etc. is actually going to go even higher. Professors at Harvard say that we've already had our best years as far as the degree and the frequency of illness is concerned. Everything else from here on, according to science, is going to get worse, unfortunately. Which brings me to the second part of the myth/truth that I wanted to share with everyone, which is this level of preventive versus curative, right? So if things are going to get worse, how do we stay ahead of the curve? The answer obviously is spending more time and resources on preventive health. I think a lot of you are probably already invested in some way, form or the other. But do you know the story about when Yudhishthir was asked by the Yaksha about what's the most wonderful thing in the world? What's the most surprising thing in the world? Anyone knows what Yudhishthir answered? Okay, it's from like an Indian epic. I see a few foreign faces. I'll sort of break the ice. Yudhishthir said that the most surprising thing in the world is that man will die anytime, but he lives his life as if he's going to live forever, right? And I think that change of wanting to pivot to preventive is actually a hard one. I'm in the preventive healthcare businesses. I have seen a lot of preventive healthcare businesses die. But I also, at the same time, like some of the optimists like you in the room, believe in the power of prevention. And I do believe that if Yudhishthir did live through 2020 and saw the fact that all of us took vaccines, who knows, maybe he would have changed his mind as well, right? So I think there is definitely a tailwind of prevention that is happening, and it's definitely induced a lot by what everybody in the room, went through in COVID, right? And I often pitch to a lot of VCs, principals, analysts, and one of the things I always am told is that preventive businesses fail. And my response to them is always that, did you take vaccines as a child? And the answer is inevitably yes. And my next question is, if you have a child, will you give him or her a vaccine? And the answer is yes, which means that you are already believing in preventive healthcare. If you do not believe in preventive healthcare, then it would not have taken that vaccine. So there is obviously an opportunity of preventive healthcare, but this will take time and take its own due course. And there is a reason why preventive healthcare is important, which is my third point, which is that how are we pacing on qualified professionals to take care of in the future? So we've already established the level of sicknesses are going to get worse. We need to do more preventive stuff. But how does everyone in the room think about qualified medical professionals. Do we have enough qualified medical professionals going forward? No, right? Like everyone knows, we do not have enough. According to WHO, a country like India needs about 45 mix of doctors, nurses, midwives, to take care of every 10,000 people. In India today, we are at 20.6. So we are obviously grossly understaffed. This is a problem that's faced mostly by low and middle income countries. Advanced countries like, I would say, USA, Germany, China are ahead of us. But having said that, we are not pacing well as far as qualified professionals to take care of us are concerned. And that is obviously, again, an opportunity for some of us to take up and say that, how can we enable that? I'll speak about dementia specifically. One of the work that Dementia India Alliance, which is a non-profit organization, is doing is actually training, caregivers, to take care of dementia patients, to reduce the healthcare burden on hospitals and, final and care checks. So you need more institutions like Dementia India Alliance to come out there and do stuff like the kinds they are doing. Things to know about data in health in India. How many of you are tracking at least some aspect of your health? I know. Hey, Jonty, thank you for raising your hand. Some of us are, right? Like, you're probably measuring your sleep, your calories, etc. One or two of you have probably gone a step beyond. The thing about data in health in India is, again, extremely nascent, right? And sometimes I think when you look at the landscape, you'll realize that the opportunity here too is immense. People who have spent time in the UK and have gone to the UK healthcare system would know that there is something called a biobank in the UK, which is a collection of publicly available aggregated anonymized data through which young startups like us can take use of the data pool and build data models on top of it. India, unfortunately, today does not have any such model. However, there are institutes like Indian Institute of Science, which are doing this work through initiatives like Longevity India, etc. And again, this opportunity is extremely immense. And my one sort of, call out to anybody who's working in health is that at least start being aware of what your data points are, so that you can take better care of yourself, and when you take better care of yourself, you reduce the healthcare burden on a hospital or a clinic. And when you do that, somebody who is more deserving or probably can't afford that healthcare service is probably in a position to go there and avail the service, and we are not queuing up in front of clinics. One of the last two bits is about health span, longevity, and medicine 3.0. If all of these are extremely alien terms, I'll make it extremely simple. Medicine 3.0 is a term that's familiarized by Dr. Peter Attia, who's recently written a book called Outlive. This came out last year. Literally one of the best evidence-based books that has ever come out about how to maintain a better health span. And Medicine 3.0 is essentially about using that data that I just spoke about and taking action in your own life. I'll give you a personal data point. You can think of it as TMI, but the night I have 2 beers, I will end up waking up at least once during the night, right? And I found this for myself. So if I am out sometime, I now make sure that if I have a game the next day, if I'm playing something competitive the next day, I'm doing something serious, I do not drink the previous day because I don't want to show up in that meeting or a conference like this with less than a desired sense of sleep. So taking charge of your own health with, health-related, data-related things is something that, you can do on your own. Lastly, which is that what will health tech startups' contribution in the coming decade look like? And I think a lot of this will actually get to the early detection space, just like with the example that I just gave you, right? If you know that, your VO2 max today is, maybe in the 60th percentile, and you want to, when you are 80, climb up a stairs briskly, that is the quality of life you want to have, then you have to have your VO2 max today at the age of 40 in the 75th percentile. And this is all proven by science. A lot of it is Western data, of course, but again, a human body is a human body anywhere else. Of course, Indian data would be different, but it will not be vastly different. And role of startups like Ivory is to essentially help people take cognizance of their risk early. We are doing it for cognitive health. There are startups like Niramai which are doing for things like breast cancer. There are other startups which are doing it for cardiac and the like, right? So early detection and screening is an absolute must. On that note, I leave you with a little video that we recently took out on World Alzheimer's Day. And yeah, look forward to catching you up, with whoever's around after this. Thank you. Will you be able to click?
I walked across an empty land. I knew the pathway like the back of my hand. I felt the Sat by the river and it made me complete. Oh, simple thing, where have you gone? I'm getting old and I need something to so tell me when. I'm getting tired and I need somewhere to
Thank you so much, Isaac. That was a very interesting point of view, especially coming from someone like me who has lost several members of my family to Alzheimer's. So the cognitive part is super important. The older we become, we have to remember that also. But going back to preventive care, I think the next speaker in the audience, he is